Hey guys, welcome back to DMAC Customs. Thanks for coming back. It's your first time here. Thanks for coming here. Anyway, trunk lock, boot lock, trunk release, boot release, whatever you want to call it. That's the next mission on the Area 51 project. Today's video, I'm going to be trying to reverse the latch system on the trunk lid, boot lid, Franken lid on the Area 51 project. Sound confusing? Trust me, it is. Okay, so explanation time. What I want to do, this bit normally resides in the trunk lid and kind of ends up coming down and latches onto the little tabby thing on the rear valance. I want to put this down the bottom and have a cable or actuator release system to unlatch it, rather than run cables and stuff up through the hinges of the trunk boot lid, Franken lid. I want to have a little cable system that runs, or actuator system that runs down low. I don't want to have it running through the boot lid. This sounds like I'm making things way more complex than they need to be, and it's raining. You're probably right. I don't know, I just want to weld up the keyhole on the trunk lid and just have a way of opening, getting in there, so you can put my picnic basket in there and stuff. So let's have a look at what I'm thinking. Let's go this way. Okay, so if you look closely at this, what I'm hoping will be able to happen is that this, with some changing it around a little bit, I can make it fit into this, centered in here sort of thing. If my calculations are correct, as the trunk lid comes down and this bit comes down into here, I'll be able to catch it on there, whichever way. I'll probably have to make a new one of this because it's too wide for the holes. So hopefully it'll kind of come down and catch onto the thing. But what I'm not 100% sure on is what happens when that hits that. Is it gonna push or pull the trunk lid in the wrong direction, or what? So that's what I'm trying to figure out. But before I go too far, I'm gonna make an arm for this, like a lever system for this. So if I do get it to kind of partly work, then I've got a cable hooked up to it and I can unlock it, rather than having it permanently locked and shut and not be able to get in through there to get it unlocked again. So before I go too far, I'm going to do a little bit of stuff to make something that taps into here, some kind of like lever system that I can then operate this latch kind of semi-remotely, if that makes sense. We'll see if I can make that work anyway, but this might require a bit of cutting and modifying, so I want to make sure it's got potential to work before I go too far and cut it all up, which if I do that and it doesn't work, then I've got to find another locking system altogether. So there we go. So what I'm thinking is getting a cap screw like this and grinding a couple of flat sides on it, so that it can go through here with flat sides, and then I'll weld a lever arm onto here once I've figured out where that needs to be, so then you can operate it. You get where I'm going with that. So if I can do that, and then so I just got to kind of grind this into a flat, and then I leave enough thread on it that I can still wind a nut on there just to hold it. It doesn't have to be super snug tight or anything like that. It's just going to lock it, stop it dropping out backwards. You know what I'm saying? Good. Okay, temp number 1, no good. As you may have noticed, if I put this in the edit, I was going to put the thread back on here since I decided it was too wide, and then just didn't even realise that that was just not going to happen. So now it's stuck in there. So I have another nut and bolt and stuff that I'm going to grind down. Here we go, into a flat to fit through this keyway thing, and yeah, then I can figure out the science and geometry and stuff to make the little lever work. There we go, got it out. So I don't need to be tapping and dyeing anything in there. Well, famous last words, it probably will, but anyway, so I've got a, what's that like for length? Probably about the same on that. So I just got to grind some flats onto this, and then we're back to where we started. Hey guys, just want to quickly interrupt this exciting episode of Area 51 update on DMAC Customs to politely ask you to subscribe if you haven't done so already. That'd be choice. There we have it. So just ground some flats on there so that'll fit through the little keyway thing in there. Now I can make a lever out of it, hopefully. It's still really kind of quite hot at the moment. Found this little bit of flat bar with already some holes drilled in it earlier on while I was scavenging around looking for something else, so I thought I'd just use that for me mocking up stage, I guess, to see whether this is going to work, if it's going to work. Okay, by my logic, however many flawed it might be, is that I thought to go from locked, to unlocked in relationship to the angle of the fan angle to the equilateral of the hypotenuse, it needs to go like about there. So once I get a cable on there, whether it be there, it's the swing distance, so maybe the shorter hole would be slightly better, that way there doesn't have to be so much actual movement. I won't cut it off just yet, but that's kind of what I'm thinking, that it kind of needs to be about there. So what I might do is actually just put a little weldy tack on there rather than rely on that happening, because that's exactly what I didn't want to happen. So I might just tack that at 45 degrees to the vertical of the hypotenuse of the Pythagoras. You follow? Cool. Okay, might put this stuff away first. Alrighty, okay, as hopefully you can see from my little demonstration there, that this is kind of my plan for the cable latch sort of system, but I need to build something off the side of here to attach the outer cable to in some form or another, some kind of clip or something to hold it in place. So I don't need to do much actually, I just need to sort of maybe weld a little piece of plate onto here that I can drill and tap and onto this bit out that way, so I can anchor that onto there. Pretty straightforward, hopefully. I just got to check that it's not going to foul up with anything if I do that in where I'm planning on locating the catch thing. Check that under there and should be alright. Alrighty, so we've got my little thing welded on here, and I made a little clip to hold the cable outer. So this is how it works. Once I pull the cable, ta-da, and then you can return it, and then when you slam the lid again, I mean I could actually make it spring loaded maybe, could you? I don't know. That might be something I need to look at later, put like a return spring on it, but depending on whether I make this electric or keep the cable system that might all change anyway. So if it's I don't know, we'll figure it out. We may end up having to put like a return spring on here somehow to kind of return it automatically, but we'll figure that out once we're gonna get closer to making it all fit, I guess. So now tangled up. So yeah, just a brief sort of summary. I just, as you saw, flattened off that bolt there, welded it onto there. I've got a nut and some bolts and stuff kind of locking it all in place so it's sort of tight, and I found some little brass doohickey that was already threaded in my jar of crap, drilled a wee hole in it for the cable to slide through. I might put a some kind of lock on the end of that as well, just in case it slips. It's got a secondary to hold it, because yeah, if any of this slips when the boot lid's shut, it's going to be very difficult to get it open without nothing on the outside. Next up is to figure out how to fit it into the lower part of the old where the other part of the catch used to live. Where this bit of the catch used to live, I've got to figure out how to get it to all work together and be happy and stuff next. Get the old die grinder out and clearance a little bit of stuff inside here, and I've drilled a hole to hopefully where the bottom hole will line up, possibly, not 100% sure on that. Okay, so that hole's not going to line up at all. Why doesn't it close? Okay, so it does line up. No, it doesn't. I know what. I'll just make the hole bigger, then it'll line up. Make it a slotted adjustment hole. There we go. Progress. The next question is, can I get it to latch? Mark 1 not going to work on this angle. I've figured out that the whole lock mechanism needs to be laid out more that way for the catchy thing to come down and activate the catchery. So what I'm thinking I might have to do is to find some way of laying it out more, whether I obviously I'm going to have to cut this out more, which that's okay. I think it's stuck in there now. Again, first things first, I'm going to get the screw back out. There you go. Why was that so hard? Stuck again. How did I do it last time? I know it was a shit fight last time, but we got it. So it's a case of wiggling it a certain way and wiggling it another way and then wiggling it again back the other way, and for some reason it just comes out once you do it for long enough. Got it. Hey guys, welcome back. Well, I don't know about welcome back. It was been a few days, about a week actually, since I've been back out here in the garage working on this boot lock delete for the Area 51 project. Can't remember where I was at in this video, so I'll kind of have a little bit of explain and maybe edit out the double ups later on. So, as I think I was talking about my initial plan, it didn't quite work. Well, I've got a new plan now, and here it is here. See? This thing here. It's going to be a mount for the latching system. So I'm going to cut all this out, and hopefully it works, and I'll be able to show you. Okay, so there's a thing that I'm making. So what I'm actually trying to set. I might need to drill. I need to put it on the right way. So that's going to go on there like so, and I've got to put a little fold in it along that fold line that says fold written on there. Fold, which I'll probably use in my press. And yeah, so this is going to end up, I'll probably weld this mechanism onto the back of this plate, and then this will bolt in to the old lower catch point on the Area 51. So I might drill that hole there a little bigger just so it doesn't bind on there. But other than that, I'll put my fold in, then I'll go and have a little tutu around there and see how it's going to fit. So, as you probably saw earlier, how I just butchered this piece out here at the back to allow for that mounting point for the old cable and stuff. Well, now I actually don't want that hole there, I want the hole here. So I'm going to weld the piece back in there, and then I'll cut out this bit here to allow for my little sidey bracket thing. That makes sense? And yeah, just put some support back into there, so probably just weld the original bit back in if it's tidy enough. But how's that go? Gotta go in there, something like that. Yeah. Alrighty, so this is where I'm at the moment. I'm making up this piece here, which is going to kind of bolt on there and hold the catch. It kind of works. I've kind of added a little return spring on here to help pull the lever back. It seems to be a bit stiff, but it's still really dry and unlubricated and stuff at the moment. So I kind of slotted these holes to sort of give me a little bit of adjustment up and down for the final kind of fitment, but these are now hitting up here somewhere, which is okay. Like, I was thinking of maybe trimming these off or bending, you know, putting a little fold in them as well, and I'm going to put sides on here as well just to dress it up a little bit. But I don't quite know where to put the fold in here, because if I want an adjustment, I can't have it snug to that curve in here, this little bit here, because then it won't be adjustable. You get what I'm saying? Unless it's about as far as I could adjust at the moment with the current holes. But I need to do something with it to get these tucked away, out of the way. Excuse the sniffing and the snotty nose. It's windy and it's hay fever season, and I haven't had it for a few years, but got me today. Choice. But anyway, back to the story at hand. Yeah, so maybe I'll put a little foldy back on those, and then see how much clearance I need to get to make a piece that kind of comes down, which will catch into the catcher. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's see if we can get this to work. one-handed like. Because now it doesn't want to work. There we go. Yeah, she's a bit stiff. I don't know whether that's the cable or just lack of lubrication in the locking mechanism, and I'm bleeding. Ooh. Probably shouldn't be doing this today. I've had some medication to help with the old hay fever and a bit fuzzy on it. But I've kind of got this thing in, as I was showing just a few seconds ago, this piece in here. So now I've just got to figure out this piece in here and the catcher part. So what I'm gonna have to make something, because the original other one that I had was down here, that needs to have something like that up here. This kind of bar needs to land about there for it to actually work with that. So I have to make up a new piece that I can bolt up into there to replace that. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to use yet, but... Morning guys, next day. Hay fever's feeling much better, thanks. So back onto this boot catch thing this morning. Thing. Noticed in my video edits sometimes I don't pronounce my THs very well. Never knew that, but now I do. I'm trying harder to improve my linguistics of the only language I actually know, which is English. Anyway, so what I was thinking was building some kind of catch pin type thing to come down and land in here from the old, kind of almost just reversing what was there before to a degree. But what I discovered was this is where it gets really complex, and I'm not that good with all the complex maths at all, so I just ichrometer everything. When I sort of bring the boot lid down, it comes down at the wrong angle for there to be the pin coming off the bottom side of the trunk lid. So that was Mark 1, so that's discount that. So I thought if we could mount something off here with something better than some ratchety little PK screw, with this and then the little pin kind of attached across around about there approximately, that actually brings us down on the right kind of angle. It's kind of hard to see, but hopefully you might be able to see this on the camera. If you can see that little bit of cardboard in there, hopefully the camera's focusing and all that kind of stuff. Well, this could just be a total waste of time trying to show you this. I'm hoping that's going to catch it on the right angle. So that brings me to my next step on the making up of this stuff, is these two little doohickeys, which is where I'm at now, which is going to be those bits there, and I've got to weld a piece across the end. I've got to double check that I'm going to do it on the right end before I go too far. I'm actually going to use a piece of cap screw, long shank cap screw that I started cutting up to make the latch thing the other week, and that didn't work, so I'm going to use that to make my little pin, which will hopefully, all going according to plan, catch the hook and push the hook down and latch the boot trunk lid. You know what I'm saying? I just better double check that I'm going to weld this pin onto the right end, and then I'll show you how I'm going to do that. So back onto these little things here. I was going to fold up some bits of 3mm plate and stuff like that, and then when I was rummaging around looking for a bit of 3mm plate that I could make these out of, I found a piece of angle iron already folded. So I marked my little template, which is still screwed onto the boot there, and I've made it a bit bigger and a bit beefier and drilled some slotted holes. I didn't show you that because that's it's kind of embarrassing how I made those holes, and that sort of explains why all my drill bits are pretty well rooted, if to excuse my French, aka two languages. But yeah, so I'm just going to screw these onto a piece of wood so I can make my little cross pin. So I'll get that underway, and then yeah, hopefully you'll see what I'm yabbering on about. Okay, test fit. This thing fits really nicely, but it doesn't work. So Mark 7, it doesn't work. It's close, but I suspect it's this catch needs to be on a bit more of an angle. I had it sitting flush with the original thingy bob, but I suspect it needs to actually sit more like that. So when the pin comes down, it pushes on this here and catches that, turns it. So I'm going to modify this and see if I can get it to work. I'm going to bend these plates up so this can kind of tuck in better, if that makes sense. Hopefully, we'll see. I just don't know where to bend it. That's the hardest bit I've got to try and figure out now that I've welded the latch onto the plate. Well, we have progress. You can tell by the mess and having to redo everything again and again and again. But now, my initial idea, having the cable coming out to the left, I just couldn't get it to work, and so I did a 180, turned this thing, the catch system around so it feeds out that way, which is actually kind of a bit neater as to where the cable lies. And so it took a little bit of, I had to rebuild this and make the gap wider because my little 10mm gap was too narrow. So now we got a 20mm gap. I had to weld up the holes and re-drill them in the new place and whatnot. But yeah, check it out. Let's see if it's going to work. And then at the moment I just have the cable coming out through the tail light. The cable doesn't return very well at the moment, but I need to hook up some kind of spring to help it return or lubricate everything. But yeah, so essentially it works. I've transferred the catch mechanism from in the trunk lid to the boot floor and made a little catchy thing for there. So next is I just got to make it look nicer. Like at the moment it looks pretty but it works. So I've got to finish like bracing up the actual catch mechanism because it's just tacked onto the back of this. Start trimming up all this kind of crap in here because I'm going to have to brace from here to this piece to make it stronger so it doesn't just snap off with use, and probably do something down the sides here to sort of tidy up, and maybe something across the top here just to make it look neater and tidier. So we'll get on to that, and then still haven't decided whether I'll do like an electric actuator or whether I'll just stick with a cable system. Cable system, I think it's, unless the cable comes undone, you've got a good redundancy there if you have a flat battery and the battery's in the boot or something like that. So that way you kind of got a good option to, if for some reason you got something draining power and you end up stranded with a dead battery and then you can't get into the boot because you've got an electric boot actuator lock thing. Because if you've got a cable, at least you can kind of get into it, hopefully. That's what I'm hoping. Anyway, so let's figure out how to make this thing look pretty. Got the parts in the bake oven baking because it's like, I don't know, probably 26 degrees Celsius at the moment, and so if you know New Zealand sun, that's quite hot. That's like burn you in 10 minutes kind of stuff. So yeah, baking that stuff on, just having a bit of a clean up, and then I'll put it all back in and show you what's going on. They should be well cooked now. I think I'll put them back in and they can stay in there for the interim, for however long they need to stay in there for now. Alrighty, just a quick sort of summary. Put some, you guessed it, riv nuts in here to mount that up. Can't really see under here, but I welded some extra sort of bracing onto the main latch piece onto the back of this piece, the plate here. I was going to do some sides and that on it, but then I realised I wouldn't be able to get it in and out with the sides on it. So once all this is all painted and under sealed and carpeted and stuff like that, you're not really going to see a lot. Added a little piece across the top here just to kind of dress that up a little bit. But yeah, so that's about it. Next up, I guess we'll probably look at filling in the old boot lock hole. Don't really need that anymore. That's the whole point of this exercise, is to get rid of that. And probably fill these in too. It is kind of quite handy to see what's going on in there, but not really necessary. I could make a little removable plate, but again, not really any point in doing that. I'll probably just weld something in, weld up these holes and fill that in completely. Once I've done that, I may do that first, and that way I can get in and spray some sealer and stuff in behind here easily. But if you can see there, this has been messed with before. When I got it, it had a piece of little piece of steel brazed over it, over the hole, and then kind of bashed back. I don't really know why. There was no other way of getting into the boot, so I don't know why it was done. But yeah, I kind of want to fill it in anyway, so I might cut out a little bit more, go a little bit wider, and put some nice clean unbeat up steel in there, and hopefully not pucker up the bonnet any more than it already is, the boot any more than it already is, I should say. That's where we're at. So overall, I'm happy that it works. I just got to decide how I'm going to run a cable to it, or whether to even look into it further and do like an electric actuator. I've got one, but I don't know whether it's any good. Might see if I can get one of those boot popper kits or something like that, or find something from the wreckers. Well, gonna leave it at that for this exciting episode of Area 51 update. I got it to work. I'm kind of surprised, but shouldn't be, but I kind of am. Next video, probably going to fill in that boot lock hole and maybe that other bit underneath the trunk lid as well. A little bit of sheet metal panel beading work to do on there. So thanks again for watching. Thanks to all the new subscribers. Any questions, suggestions, down below in the comments. And if you haven't subscribed already, it'd be really cool if you did. Till next time, take it easy. Peace.